I want to talk to you this morning about how your forgiveness determines the polarity of your magnet. You ever notice that if you have magnets that are arranged the right way, they are stuck together, but if you turn one of them the opposite way, they repel. And so I'm going to challenge you today, and I want you to take a look at your ability to forgive the people around you, the people especially that are most important to you, like your spouse or your parents or your adult children. How are you at forgiving, and why is that even important? Well, I'll tell you why it's important, because as we go through life, we are going to suffer wounds. You've been wounded. Some of you have been wounded in small ways that just kind of accumulate over time, and others of you have been injured in deep, unforgettable, painful ways. And maybe there are still daily reminders of that. I'm talking to a person whose spouse was unfaithful in the marriage, and that wound is deep. And this person is struggling to figure out how to navigate that. And maybe you've not suffered an injury that deep. Maybe you have. Maybe your injury goes back to childhood. People did things to you that you did not deserve to have happen, and they were evil things that occurred, and you've kind of been stuck your whole life. Well, I'm here to tell you that the path to freedom from that is through forgiveness. But we have to understand that forgiveness is not condoning what happened. It is not putting your seal of approval on it. It's not even saying that's okay. Forgiveness is saying, you wounded me, and I'm not going to hold that against you. You don't owe me. I'm canceling that debt because really you owe me. Now, some of you feel like, well, no, I've been injured and I'm going to hold that against that person for the rest of my life. As long as I live, I'm never going to let it go because that should not have happened. And yet, you're the one who is suffering. It's taking up a lot of real estate in your brain. It makes your pillow uncomfortable when you go to sleep at night. And so in our relationships and our marriages, there's always going to be injury. I'm going to say something that I shouldn't say, or I'm going to behave in a manner that I shouldn't have, and that's going to injure Megan. Hopefully it's a mild injury, but there's an injury. And so we have to respond with love and kindness and grace, because we give ourselves tons of grace. Have you noticed when you screw something up, you just kind of chalk it up to, oh, I was just not paying attention, or I was just in a bad mood, or I was hangry. I needed a Snickers bar. I look like Danny DeVito, that I ate a Snickers bar and now I'm me. We give ourselves tons of grace, but we don't want to give that to other people. Man, we wanted them to pay. We want them to earn it. I'm just telling you, it does not bless your life. So how is your polarity of your magnet? If you're a person who turns away from grace, you are repelling people. And maybe you're okay with that because you want to repel the people that have hurt you, but it will affect every part of your life. You will repel people for the smallest injury eventually. That doesn't work because we're all human. Man, we're going to make mistakes. Just raise your hand if you've ever injured another person. I have. I've made deep wounds in people. And so part of what I have to do is I have to be willing to forgive people who've injured me deeply. I have to be willing to go to the person that I've injured and ask that person to work on the process of forgiving me. And I have to be able to forgive myself, meaning that I have to look back at that and go, man, that was not my finest hour. And I've made some mistakes and I've injured some people, but I'm going to work every day to be the best version of me that I possibly can be, so that I can bring joy to my family, so that I can bring joy to my community, so that if you and I meet, I radiate joy. That's my goal. But I can't do that if I harbor unforgiveness. It's going to affect every part of me. So if you're in a marriage where you just have just this undercurrent, this subtle just resentment and annoyance, and you just look at your spouse and you roll your eyes, you need to do some soul searching, because I can almost guarantee you that in your heart, there is some unresolved hurts that you have that you've not let go of. You've not forgiven that person. And I think that couples have to never mention the word divorce. So if you are in a covenant marriage before God, you're stuck there for the next 30 or 40 years. So you might as well figure out how to do it great and effectively, rather than just sit in the muck, just sit in mediocrity. And the first step to do that is to forgive. Well, how do we do that? I would start by asking God to show you how to forgive this person. You could even say to him, God, I don't want to forgive him because I'm angry, but can you help show me how to be a little less angry every day? Can you help show me how to be a little more forgiving today? Show me what it looks like to unpack that and let it go and to give it to you, God, because it's too heavy for me to handle. It's too hurtful. I don't want to even touch it. I don't even want to think about it. So, God, show me how to do this because I have no idea. That's a good place to start. There's some books out on forgiveness. One's called Forgetting What You Can't Forget. I recommend it to people who are suffering. It's by Lisa Turquist. I'm sure I butchered her last name because I don't really know how to say it or spell it, but you can look it up. Forgiving What You Can't Forget. That's a good one. I've had wounds that I'm never going to forget those, but I can forgive them. And sometimes we have to realize that it's a process. It doesn't just happen all at once. Sometimes there's work to be done on our part to figure out how to keep every day letting this go. But it's worth it. It's worth it. It'll change your life. Listen, do me a favor, click the share button. People around you are struggling with unforgiveness. People around you have mediocre marriages or worse. People around you are thinking about the D word. And I'm just here to tell you, like, there's repair that's possible. I've lived it. I've also screwed it up. You know my story. Anyway, love you guys. Click the share button. Join us on Spotify at D-Bonnie Ignite Your Marriage podcast. And come over to YouTube and click subscribe on D-Bonnie Ignite Your Marriage. Have a wonderful day, guys.